全景。
The light is my strength. Justice shall be done. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Foul made. Of course. Certainly. Betrayer of the light. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. For my father, the king. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. The light is my strength. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Feel my wrath. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Welcome to our light is my strength. For honor. Of course. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. I'm here to help. The light is my strength. I'm here to help. For honor. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. I'm here to help. Hello there. I stand for the light. For honor. Justice shall be done. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Of course.
这是啥话？
Of course. For my father, the king. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. Feel my wrath. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. I'm here to help. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. For Lordaeron. I stand for the light. Foul gaze. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan.
Point the way.
Is there danger? Of course. For honor.
We're under attack!
A sound plan. The light is my strength. For honor. Certainly. Of course. I stand for the light. The light is my strength. I'm here to help. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. The light is my strength. Certainly.
Point the way.
Is there danger? I stand for the light. Of course. For honor. I'm here to help. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. You are past redemption. Of course.
3块10。
A sound plan. Light is my strength. Is there danger? I stand for the light. Of course. Certainly. Justice shall be done. Of course. Certainly. For Lordaeron. Justice has come. The light is my strength. Our allied town is being attacked. For honor. Of course. For honor.
金妈环。
Our hero has been slain. Here to help. Light is my strength. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Betrayer of the light. For honor. Certainly. Feel my wrath. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Is there danger? Certainly. Welcome to our village. I'm here to help. I stand for the light. I'm here to help. For honor. Is there danger? Certainly. Betrayer of the light. Of course. For honor. Certainly.
Hey.
Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. The light is my strength. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. For honor. Certainly. Feel my wrath. Of course. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. For honor. Certainly. Stand for the light. We're under attack! Light is my strength. Of course. Certainly. Is there danger? I'm here to help. Of course. Our allied hero has been slain. Stand for the light. For honor. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. For honor. Of course. For honor. Our allies hero has been slain. For honor. A sound. Certainly. The light is my strength. For honor. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. I stand for the light. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. For my father, the king. Certainly. For honor. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. The light is my strength. Is there danger? Certainly. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. Hello there! Stand for the light. Of course. Certainly. I'm here to help. I stand for the light. For honor. Of course. For honor. For Lord Aron. Certainly. For honor. A course. You are past redemption. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. I'm here to help. Of course.
Our allied town is being attacked.
小熊饼干，
A sound plan
吃啊吃啊，还有一盒，
for honor.
还有一盒，
We're under attack.
Of course. Battle for honor. You are past redemption. Certainly. Of course. Of course. A sound plan.
We're under attack.
Justice shall be done. I'm here to help. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. Is there danger? Light is my strength. Is there danger? Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Of course. Certainly. I'm here to help. I stand for the light. Of course. Welcome to our village. I'm here to help. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. The light is my strength. For honor. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Of course. Foul name. For honor. Feel my wrath. A sound plan. Certainly. Justice shall be done. Of course. The light is my strength. Certainly.
哎呀，这也不够快啊！
Of course. I stand for the light. A sound plan. For honor. Of course.
Our
A
allied
sound
town
plan.
is being attacked.
Justice shall be done.
Our allies' hero has been slain.
Is there danger? A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Of course. For honor. Certainly. Of course.
We're under
Stand.
attack.
I'm here to help. A sound plan. For honor.
Our
danger?
allies' hero has been slain.
Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. Of course. Certainly. For Lord. A sound plan. Certainly. I stand for the light. A sound plan. You are past redemption. Justice is come. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. Justice shall be done. I'm here to help. For honor. Certainly. For honor.
Our hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked!
Light is my strength. A sound plan. Certainly. I'm here to help. Light is my strength. Of course. For my father, the king. For honor. A sound plan. I'm here to help. For
金
honor.
马玩的力呀，
Certainly. For honor.
Our allies' hero
sound.
has been slain! We're under attack!
Light is my strength. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. A sound. For honor. Betrayer of the light. Of course.
We're under attack!
I stand for the light. Certainly. The light is my strength. A sound plan. Certainly. For my father, the king. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. Certainly. I stand for the light. Justice shall be done. A sound plan. For honor.
We're under attack!
I stand for the light. Of course. A sound plan. For Lord Oran. Betrayer of the light. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. I'm here to help. Certainly. For honor. Of course. For honor. The light is my strength. I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan.
We're under attack!
A sound plan. For honor. Feel my wrath. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. The light is my strength. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Justice is done. Of course. For honor. Justice shall be done. Of course. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Certainly. Is there danger? For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. For Lord Oran. For honor. Certainly. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly.
Our allied town is being attacked.
哇，
I stand for the light. The light is my strength. For honor.
Our allied town is being
Is there
attacked.
danger?
We're under
I'm here to
attack.
help. Is there danger? Certainly. I'm here to help. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. The light is my strength. Certainly.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Stand. Of course. For honor. Of course. For honor. A sound plan.
We're under attack.
For honor. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Hello there. Justice shall be done. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Of course. A sound
We're under attack.
Betrayer of the light. Is there danger? Or Lord or honor? You are past redemption. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. The light is my
啊，我们马上死掉了。
I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly. For honor. Is there danger? Of course. Justice shall be done. I'm here to help. Foul name. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. Of course. The light is my strength. Certainly. For Lord or honor. For honor. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Of course. For honor. Is there danger? Of course. Certainly. The light is my strength. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. Certainly. Of course. For my father, the king. Certainly. I'm here to help. Is there danger? For honor. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. For honor. Justice has come. Certainly. Feel my wrath. Justice has come. Of course. Certainly. For honor. You are past redemption.
Our allies' hero has been slain.
Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan.
我也要喝。
For honor, a sound plan. For honor, the light is my strength. I stand for the light. Foul knave. Justice shall be done. A sound plan.
我们家的奶茶是
I'm
不
here
好
to
喝了吗？
怎么了？
我们家的奶茶没有卖的比以前
For honor. Certainly.
没有甜的啊，
For honor. Of course. Certainly.
怎么甜度降那么多？
Of course. For honor. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. For Lord of Light. A sound plan. Feel my wrath. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. Certainly.
Our allied
course.
town is being attacked.
Certainly. Betrayal of the light. For honor. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. For honor.
哎，
Our hero has been slain.
Wow. 哇，
Is there danger? Of course. Certainly. The light is my strength. I stand for the light. The light is my strength. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Justice shall be done. Is there danger? Sound. I stand for the light. Certainly. Is there danger? For honor. A sound plan. I'm here to help. Of course. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. For honor. Feel my wrath.
We're under attack.
Certainly. Of course. Certainly. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. Is there danger? A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Of course. The light is my strength. I'm here to help. For honor. Certainly. Betrayer of the light. Feel my
Our
wrath.
allies' hero has been slain.
For honor. Justice Justice shall be done. A sound plan. The light is my strength. For honor. Of course. You are past redemption. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. Justice shall be done. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. Of course. Greetings. I'm here to help. I stand for the light. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Of course. I stand for the light. For honor. Justice shall be done. A sound plan. Betrayal of the light. Of course. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Of course. Certainly. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of course. Certainly. Of course.
Our
For honor.
allied town is being attacked!
Sound plan. Is there danger?
Our allies' hero has been slain!
The light is my strength. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For my father, the king. For honor. Betrayal of the light. I stand for the light. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. For my father, the king. Justice has come. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. For my father, the king. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. course. Certainly. I stand for the light. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. For honor. Of course. The light is my strength. For honor. Certainly. I'm here to help. Justice. Of course. Is there danger? Light is my strength. Justice is come. Justice shall be done. For honor. You are past the limit. Is there danger? Of course. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Feel my hand. Certainly. For honor. For Lord Orion. A sound plan.
Our hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked!
I stand for the light. For honor. Is there danger? I stand for the light. Of course. For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. Welcome to our village. Justice shall be done. For honor. Of course. A sound.
Oh.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Is there danger? For honor. For honor.
Betrayer! You are past it. Our allied town is being attacked!
Foul. For my father. Certainly. For honor.
Research complete.
Certainly.
Hmm?
Of course. For honor. Of course.